I had music playing that whole time. No one will ever know. That's my spooky evil laugh. Hi everyone. Hi. I know I said that I wouldn't be live today, but I felt like it. And oh my god, J-Rod, thank you so much for the 14 months. I appreciate it. And Lawrence, it's so good to see you. How are you? And also thank you for the 38 months.
Sparkler, hey yo.
Y'all rule. Y'all rule. Thank you so much. Good to see you guys. It's a surprise stream tonight, and I thought that it might be fun if fun, in quotes. That's horrible. That to be honest, it's horrible that we do true crime as a form of entertainment, but we do. We're just kind of garbage people, and we've made our peace with that, I think. But I thought that it would be interesting today if we were to watch a court case. And it's a court case that I know very little about, just that there was a homicide. It's a 7-hour video of court, of like a day one court session. So we're definitely not getting all the way through it tonight, like, for sure. Like, this will probably only be... Oh my god, Lawrence. Oh my god, Lawrence!
The Divine Gemini is Sparkler. Lawrence Delama gifted a tier 1 sub to the Divine Geminis.
Thank you so much.
Bunny
Let's
is Gaming
watch it at
Sparkler.
double
Lawrence Delama
speed.
gifted a tier 1 sub to Bunny is Gaming.
That's so fucking nice of you, Lawrence. Thank you so much.
Puppycat02 Sparkler. Lawrence Delama gifted a tier 1 sub to Puppycat02.
We're gonna for sure let this finish going before we move on.
Jurassic _Z0
I'm gonna take a sip of this
Sparkler.
coffee.
Lawrence Delama gifted a
Happy
tier 1
weekend,
sub to
everyone.
Jurassic _Z0.
But anyway, yeah.
Littercake Sparkler.
I'm
Lawrence
gonna be
Delama
trying
gifted a tier
to
1 sub to
learn
Littercake.
knitting. I'm gonna be trying to learn knitting. Fuck, I just fucked up shit.
Hacksmith Sparkler.
Fuck,
Lawrence
I'm
Delama
fucking up
gifted
all
a
the
tier 1
shit.
sub to Hacksmith.
Did I just unplug my fucking monitor? I think I did.
Blue Stargazer Sparkler. Lawrence
Oh,
Delama gifted a
no.
tier 1 sub to Blue
Oh,
Stargazer.
everything is horrible. Everything is absolutely horrible.
Dejected
Fuck
Ghost
me.
Sparkler.
I'm so
Lawrence
sorry,
Delama
everybody.
gifted a tier 1 sub to Dejected Ghosts. The Angriest Bloom Sparkler. Lawrence Delama gifted a tier 1 sub to the Angriest Bloom.
So scary. Oh no.
Dumpling Mama Sparkler. Lawrence Delama gifted a tier 1 sub to Dumpling Mama.
Okay, I don't know. I definitely, my shit is plugged back in now. Borg speed. Sorry, you guys just saw so much of my weird, shitty little body. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't believe that just happened. When I moved my keyboard to behind my monitor, I must have unplugged it or like set it on a temperamental cable or something. Lawrence the Lemma. You're so sweet. That was just such a really nice thing of you to do. I appreciate it a whole lot. I figured you guys would want to watch me try to learn how to knit, hey? I'm not going to be working on the scarf project, probably. Unless we get, like, really, really frustrated with the knitting project, in which case we will switch over, I guess. It's nothing, just some fun. I think it's very sweet. Hey, no body shaming, that includes yourself. You know what? You're right. you're right. I wouldn't body shame another person, so why am I doing it to me? You're right. That's just inviting trouble, hey? Thank you, Quinn, for that reminder. All right. So I'm going to try this again and hopefully not break everything. Ugh. Okay. Also, to be honest, my body kind of rules. Like, it doesn't be sick all the time. It works for the most part. I should really be kinder to my body. Even though I don't love the way it looks, it doesn't mean that it's a shitty body. It's a great body. It does its job. All right. So I have a little project that I had started here that I am going to frog for us to practice knitting on. I got nice thick needles so that people can see what's going on. They were on sale for 50% off at Michael's today. When I went and got more of that gray yarn so that we can actually finish the scarf that we started. And when I saw that, that's a-okay, Hacks, Matt. That's a-okay. I'm so sorry that it's so late. I forget what I was saying. Still, again, not a crumb of cannabis today, and I'm already a fucking shitty loser. Hi, Kool-Aid. It's good to see you. Anyway, yeah, let's do this, and then okay, you should be able to see everything okay. Yeah, this is looking good. I'm gonna take off my hoodie here. I really do apologize for the look of me. Not my cutest day. 50% off Michael's. I don't know what you're going. Oh, right. These were only $2. Normally they were, well, $2.50. But normally they're $5. But everything that was this brand was 50% off today. I'll probably eventually want to break these ends off here so that I can slide things off the back of these needles, but we'll see. I have only ever knitted in a square and crocheted in a circle, so seeing these the other way around is weird. Well, I won't be knitting in a circle. I don't know how to knit in the round. I only know how to crochet in the round. This is a crochet project that I had begun, but I'm going to be using this yarn for our purposes tonight. I can show you guys casting on, and I can show you knit and purl, and I can show you selvage. I do not know how to increase or decrease. I do not know how to knit in the round. I am learning the jute stitch. Right, I forgot that I was going to be doing that over here. I found, in case anybody else wants to try that as well. Ugh. Hello, can I put this in like dark mode? I hate that this is not in dark mode. Ew. So super disgusting. Ew. Okay, we need one of these. My Microsoft Edge is set up to be in dark mode, but my Google Chrome is not, even though I use Google Chrome more than Microsoft Edge. Which I don't know why. Microsoft Edge steals less memory from my machine. Okay, so really quickly, I'm just gonna show you some pretty basic stuff. I'm only gonna do 5 stitches at first because I'm not going to be walking through what I'm doing. I'm just practicing for my own sake here. I figured you guys might Edge makes me want to breathe water. Why? Why do you hate Microsoft? Microsoft Edge is a really good browser. I like it a lot. Maybe you know more about tech than me. It's ass? I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so it starts the same way as it does in crochet with a slip knot. You put that over your needle, one of your needles, and then with knitting, it's not as freeform as crochet. You have to know how many stitches you'll be knitting before you start your project. So it's called casting on. And the way you do it is you take your tail end and your working yarn here, and you loop each of them over the needle and pull it like a little bit tighter. I'm just gonna do like 5 stitches really quick so that I can show you the difference between knitting and purling, because that's all I know so far. And then I'm going to be trying to learn how to do this really pretty jute stitch is what it's called that I linked. To be fair to Edge, it is based on Chromium now, so it's gotten better. Okay, yeah, fair enough. I like it a lot. I like Microsoft Edge a whole lot. All right, so as far as I know, and definitely if anybody in here is more knowledgeable than me, correct me if I'm wrong, but with knitting, you always want to work with your projects pointed towards the middle in between the stitches, or the needles, I apologize. And the difference between knitting and purling is knitting, you work in underneath so that you're pointing your tip in the same direction that the tip that you're working from is pointing, if that makes sense. Your working needle, not your, like, I don't know what to call this, the needle that has your work on it versus your working needle. You're gonna point the edges in the same direction, and your working yarn is going to be coming in from behind your work. And that will make sense in a moment, I promise. All right, so we just want to wrap that around and pull it through the loop that is on the needle that's housing our work, and then slip it off there, and then slip in, wrap around, pull it through, slip the loop off, in, around, through, slip off, in, around, through, slip off, in, around, through, slip off. And that is one row of knitting. Now, I'm going to show you what purling looks like. And typically when you see something that is just a standard knit, you will see they will have knitted one row and then purled the next row, and then knitted one row and then purled the next row. In knitting, there is a right and wrong side of your work every single time. Every single time. You've been knitting for years, but you're not good at talking. I am not good at knitting. Shaking my head, Microsoft browser, shaking my head. I like it. I like it. Can't lie to you. It's not as much of a memory hog as Chrome. It doesn't crash as much as Chrome. It's sick. It has just as much capabilities. I don't know. I'm into it. I don't hate it at all. It's very intuitive. All right, so for purling, we're gonna point the tips together. You go tip to tip. Get real peninsular with it, okay? We're sword fighting. And then you slip in. Oh, of course, you want to make sure that the working yarn is coming out in front of your work with purling. And that's the most important part. Because if you don't do that, you won't be able to wrap the needle correctly, right? So you go around and through and slip the loop off that way. So you point it at the tip of the other needle, if that makes sense. And then wrap the yarn around, pull it through the loop, work the loop off. Slip it in, wrap around, work it through, and slip it off. And again, slip it in, wrap around, work it through, slip it off. And one last time, work it in, wrap around, work it through, and slip it off. And now we have done one knit row and one purl row. And I mean, I guess you can't really see the texture of the fabric with me doing so little of it, but one row is gonna look like little V's and one row is gonna look like little ripples, essentially. Your work stays in your left hand at all times and the working needle is always in the right, unless you're left-handed, but so far you're explaining it well. Thank you. I'm doing the best I can. Too much pressure to do it the right way. You absolutely have to be impeccable at following orders for knitting, whereas with crocheting, there's a lot more ways to fix your work. I still have no idea what to do if I fuck up a stitch knitting, because I am just not as familiar with the anatomy of a stitch as I am with crochet, so I can't just like go back a couple of stitches and fix it. Something that some people do is when they are learning, they'll take a tapestry needle, one of these guys, and put a thread through all of the stitches like this. I just learned about it. And then that way, as you work, if you make a mistake, you can slip just this needle in place of this needle. You'll put this needle and slip this one out, and it'll be like you're undoing work, if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm gonna undo this here. Just burn the house down in that case. Yeah, like legit. I always just have to start over when I make a mistake with knitting so far because I don't know what I'm doing even remotely. Hi Bumble. How are you? It's good to see you. All right. So anyway, this jute stitch, you only need to know how to knit and purl to do it. So that's good news for me because that's all I fucking know how to do. And I know that there are selvage, which I fucking forgot to explain, but it's just a way to make your edges look nice. You do some slip stitches, which is just passing the needle or passing the loop from one needle to the other without doing the wrap, work through, slip off method. Does that make sense? Also, I, just so that you guys know, I did reach out to Dreading. He hasn't responded yet because I just wrote the email tonight. Okay, those of you that knit, is there a better way to start than with a slip stitch? Or not a slip stitch, a slip knot rather. Because I see people in tutorials doing some weird fast magic around their needle that does not look like they have a slip knot there. I don't know how to make what they're doing happen. Okay. I don't know what just happened. Cody Bookworm.
Cody Bookworm Sparkler.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. 29 months. You're amazing. Thank you so much for the support. It means everything. Okay. So it just needs to be an odd number of stitches, which includes selvage stitches. Selvage, I think just means self-edge. Yes, but it's hard to explain. It's similar to casting on, but there's another loop that I forgot where it is. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I'll try to figure it out. I'll look for it. I never remember to look for it when I'm looking at knitting stuff. You forgot how to knit? Me too, entirely. I just focused on crochet and I got decent at that. And lately, all the projects that I find that I want to do, to up my game, I guess, almost always I can find knitting patterns, but no crochet patterns. Like for Fun Scooties, which is a scarf that has a hood, essentially. Like, I want to do one of those, but in order to do one that isn't completely butt-fucking ugly, all of the ones that I've found are knitting patterns rather than crochet patterns. Okay, so anyway, we need to do an odd number of stitches. I think that I'm gonna go with 17. So 1, 2, this is 3. And we want to make sure that our tension isn't crazy tight. We want to make sure that this is slipping up and down the needle really easily. You don't want a whole lot of friction there. You want a little so that it doesn't slip right off, but... Okay, that's 4. We got 13 to go. 5. 6. 7. Oh my God, Dad feels. Hello? No way. No fucking way. I'm sorry. Pardon. I'm sorry, Dad. Please don't ground me. Hi. Big fan. I don't know what to say. I don't even know what to say. This is a huge moment for me, and I like it a lot, and I look like this, and that is sad to me. Hello. I'm learning how to knit. And we're about to watch a court case, and it's gonna be really gruesome. My friend Tinfoil Tom told me about your channel. I love Tinfoil Tom. I love Tinfoil Tom, and I love Dad. I still haven't finished unraveling the entire unfiction yet, but I plan to eventually on my channel. Tom is mental? Big agree. Big agree. I love his content, though. Man, that was so nice of him to recommend. That was really nice. I lost my shit when I saw that you followed me. That makes me feel so good. Please let me know if you ever need a voice actress. I love doing voice work. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, SOC, for the 14-month stream.
SCSOC Sparkler,
so
hello.
Oh my gosh, do we have a hype train going? I don't even know. Dad feels just subscribed
Dad feels Sparkler.
to my channel. Dad feels just subscribed to my channel. Shut up. You're killing me right now. I don't even, I don't know what to say. I used to actually be kind of like a B-list internet celebrity, but this is huge to me. I can't stop smiling. I'm sorry. It's hot in my house. I look like a mess. Oh my goodness gracious. What are you guys doing to me right now? You're embarrassing me in front of my father.
BGHP and Sparkler SCSOC gifted a
Thank
tier
you.
1
You
sub
guys
to
are
BGHP.
so nice. I don't know what to do or say in this moment.
Mood Candy
I'm
Sparkler
not even supposed to
SCSOC
be
gifted
here
a tier
today.
1
You guys
sub to
are
Mood
killing
Candy.
me. Thank you so much. Like, should I just throw out the knitting and we should just get
Deadman
up and
underscore
dance?
Darkling
Or like,
Sparkler
what's even happening?
SCSOC gifted a tier 1 sub to Deadman underscore Darkling.
Kitty Store, Lawrence the Lamba. I just called you Lawrence the Lamba. The Lamba.
Ingavar underscore Cows Sparkler SCSOC gifted
Time
a
for a
tier
good
1
old
sub to
fashioned fart
Ingavar
slide. I can
underscore
get
Cows.
down on that. If anybody here likes butts and is subscribed to the channel, have I got the emote for you?
Victoria Sparkler SCSOC
It is
gifted a tier
a
1
heart
sub
that is
to
a butt that
Victoria.
is farting. I can't even believe
Lawrence Thelema
all
cheered.
of the
Got a
support
train
you
to
guys just
catch.
dropped in chat just now. That's lovely, and you're all lovely. Thank you so much.
Bumble Kitty Store cheered.
I don't know what to say. I'm like at a loss for words. That never happens to me. I always have some words,
Big
even if they're
underscore wolf
stupid.
paws cheered.
I just appreciate you. Like, what a cool community you guys always are. Ugh. Yeah, we love butts. We love butts. We talked a little bit about your butt. I hope that doesn't make you uncomfortable, but those pants do you... I'm sure it's your butt that's doing you the favors. The pants are very flattering in the Dad Feels videos. We talked a little bit about the booty. Dad does not skip leg day, that's for sure. It's obvious. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need 8 more if we're gonna do 17, so that's 8. Nice. 9. 10. 11. 12. It's all the dancing. I can imagine that doesn't hurt. Fuck, where was I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13. Hi, Silgnav, how are you? It's so good to see you. 14. Do you legitimately, after one of those like marathon dance sessions, are you just like burning all over? Are you just burning up in all of your muscles, just the lactic acid all over the place? I can't imagine. Like right now I'm pretty broke. So what I'm doing for cardio is just walking up and down my stairs for like an extended period of time. And the lactic acid just from that gets intense. I can't imagine doing the like 5-hour-long dancing, and you really get your pelvis going, hey? You like goals is all I have to say. I wish that I could dance like that for that long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, just 3 more. 1. 2, 3. No, I feel all right. I do it so much that it doesn't do much. I did a 10-hour nonstop dance stream once. That's crazy, man. Oh, hydrate. We can do that. Got my water. Dad bod can't be stopped. You need to be stronger, though. You know what? That's impressive. That's very, very impressive. That blows my mind. Recently took up fencing. The neighbors said they will call the police if I don't put it back. Put it back in my yard. My fence needs repaired. Then again, maybe we don't steal. Why don't I just head to True Value? Pick up some fencing. To be perfectly real with you though, I love True Value. True Value rules, man. Back in my home city of Iowa City, we have True Value is a franchise, hey, where you can like buy it. You could buy a franchise and run it. Kimberly, thank you so much for subscribing to the YouTube channel. I appreciate you. And also thank you everybody for the level 2 hype train. But yeah, and it's called Lennox and Seelick True Value in Iowa City, Iowa. And it rules. It just rules. Morbid D's nuts. Got him, pranked nerd. Yeah, you know what, Eptar? I don't know if I will ever recover from this. Best hardware store. Huge agree. Menards is great. Menards is great, but True Value cannot be beat. Oh, True Value. You know I love you. I'm in Canada now, so we go to Canadian Tire, and it's really similar. Really similar to True Value. Okay, so with salvaging, you guys. First you work a slip stitch as if to knit. And what that means is we go so that we're pointing the needles in the same direction and just slip it off. If we were going to be doing a slip as if to purl, we would do it this way. We would point them towards one another and slip it off. But we don't need to do that right now. So we're not gonna. Hi, Ozma. I won't let you sleep. What are you talking about? I'm not holding you hostage. All right. So we knit one, and then we purl one, and then we slip one with yarn in front. Jeez Louise. Knitting is so much harder than crochet. It's so much harder. But we're going to figure it out. We are. Yeah, we had to train because everybody's so nice. Everybody's pranking me with gift subs and bits. Oh, right. And with purling, you want to make sure that you bring your yarn, your working yarn, to the front of your work here. What did I do? No, I messed up, but it's okay because we're like right at the beginning of our work. I'm going to count these. I'm so sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so we do need to redo one. I don't know how I let that fall apart like that. My apologies, everybody. So you're working on my double crochet sweater. I do not do well with big garments with crochet. I need practice. I need so much practice. Okay, so in order for the salvage, oh, this one actually wants you to knit one, not slip. You will slip on the second row. That's good to know. So we will actually knit instead of slip as if to knit. And then we have to move our thread to the front of our work before we begin to purl, or else you won't be able to wrap it properly to pull through and then slip off. Woo! And I still am a very, very clunky at how to hold my knitting needles. I'm sure that I'll find how it's comfortable for me soon enough. But for now, I will just be holding it in a way that makes it easy for me to see what I'm doing. Learning the anatomy of the stitches is like so important, so that you don't have to start over a project anytime you mess up. Okay, and now we need to slip one with yarn in front. Soxing is going to be the Billy Mays for X-Lax Extra Strength, but wait, there's more. You have no idea how relevant that is right now. I worked 12 hours today. Ugh, nucky. I mean, like, good job. I don't mean to say that. You know, I'm just gonna stop talking. I'm not trying to be toxically positive, and I'm not trying to be dismissive of your hard work. Just, I think you're great. I'm sorry that you had to work 12 hours today. Okay. And then you just purl one and slip one with yarn in front. That's so easy. This is so easy. So, purl. Oh. And then slip one with yarn in front. Purl. Oh, did you guys want to do the court case footage now? And then slip one, yarn in front. I found one that I hadn't heard of. It was in Wisconsin. It's a homicide. I don't know if it's like family, girlfriend, what. But the dude's name is Chandler Halderson. And we 1,000,000% can watch this court case if we want, if you guys want to. LOL, it's all good. I'm working doubles on the weekends. Barf, barf. Right now because of a job change. It super sucks, but it will work for now. At least it's with good people making good food. I work at a ramen restaurant and a vegan restaurant, so I get to make and eat amazing food. That's rad. I've been making a concerted effort to be vegetarian. No, True Value didn't survive the pandemic. Are you serious? That's devastating. Y'all, pour one out for True Value. Such a bummer. Like, legitimately, you could get amazing deals there. I remember I got my Leatherman multi-tool from there, and it was only like $40. Gonna murder my face because I can't figure out what I was looking for. No, please don't murder your face, Hacks, Matt. Poor Dad, how will he get a sweet shed now? Well, luckily he doesn't live in Iowa City. You have a True Value in your town and it's doing great? Okay, I love to hear it. It moved to North Liberty. I know there wasn't one in North Liberty before, so. Yours is running their big sale. Dude, I love that Dad Feels comes in here and then we're just all like, by the way, True Value rules. That we can watch a YouTube video about your true crime story. Hacks, Matt, no. The hunt for True Value. I'm into it. Oh fuck, I do not remember what the last thing we did was. Was it purl or slip? It was purl. We're good. Well, now you're just tempting me. No! Hacks, Matt. Put all sharp objects away. I would like your face to remain intact, please and thank you. I had to go get my car because I didn't want to walk down the street carrying a shovel at 7. Okay, all right, everybody. I'm going to, this is gonna be abrupt, I'm so sorry. Pause the music. And I'm gonna get this court case going. And, hopefully nothing too grisly happens on the screen. If it does, hopefully I save it in time. All right.
Excellent. Folks, thank you very much for getting here this morning. I need to ask you whether or not any member of the jury panel was exposed to any information between 4 o'clock yesterday when I last saw you and this moment, whether you engaged in conversations with others, with each other, or sought intentionally or were unintentionally exposed to any information about the case. If so, raise your hand.
Please,
Mr. Burkhart.
Please don't murder your face.
No, I got a soup and a Campbell.
Please do not do it.
It is possibly a
By
name that I
all
read
means,
yesterday.
throw a
There were
link
a
in the
lot that I
chat,
don't
Stevie,
remember,
always.
but other than that, we're good.
Okay, so
All right,
we
good.
flip
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't see any other hands.
And
The
then
first thing we
oh,
do this morning, folks,
fudge.
is
I did
provide you
not
with
flip
preliminary jury
correctly.
instructions. We have, frankly, instructions
It
for
does
almost
matter.
everything to help explain the law to the jury and to give guidance. And that's the intent
Oh.
of these. They first start out giving you some firm, concrete reinforcement
fully
of what I've
support
already
that
told you
link.
about what you need to do in this process and how this process will proceed. There are then standard instructions about evidence and about your role and what you should and should not expect as far as evidence in this case. And then a substantive instruction on each of the counts, describing to you the elements that the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt and how to interpret some of those terms, including finally the meaning of reasonable doubt, the presumption of innocence, etc. Now, for purposes of this preliminary instruction, I did combine the counts
I'm not sure.
in the
Azuma.
information so that I'm not reading all 8, but I'm reading 4 with a reference in each to the count regarding Bart Halderson and the count regarding Krista Halderson, simply to save time and because you're not reaching determinations today. You don't reach any determinations until we send you to the jury room for that purpose.
Man, this
But
is
just to
messy when
save
you don't know what
time
you're
because
doing.
the
This
elements
is
are the
hard.
same, whether it's the first count or the 5th count. Before the trial begins, there are certain instructions you should have to better understand your functions as a juror and how you should conduct yourself during the trial. Your duty is to decide the case based only on the evidence presented at trial and the law given to you by the court. Anything you may see or hear outside the courtroom is not evidence. Do not let any personal feeling about race, religion, national origin, sex, or age
God, it's so
affect
sad
your
that they have to
consideration of
say
the
that,
evidence.
hey?
Do not begin your deliberations and discussion of the case until all the evidence is presented and I have instructed you on the law. Do not discuss this case among yourselves
Oh, shit, at the
or with
last,
anyone else
we need
until
to
your
knit.
final
We have to
deliberations in the
For the
jury room.
final stitch
We
here.
will stop or recess from time to time during the trial. You may be excused from the courtroom when it is necessary for
the
me to
yarn
hear
behind.
legal arguments from the lawyers. If you come into contact with the parties, lawyers, or witnesses, do not speak with them. For their part, the parties, lawyers, and witnesses will not contact or speak with the jurors. Do not listen to any
Right.
conversation about this case. Do not research any information that you personally think might be helpful to you in understanding the issues presented. Do not investigate this case on your own or visit the scene. Do not read any newspaper reports or listen to any news reports on radio or television or electronic devices about this trial. Do not consult
He is
dictionaries,
talking to the jury,
computers, websites, or other reference
This is all
materials
stuff that
for
they should have been
additional
told
information.
along, like,
Do not seek
during
information
jury
regarding
selection,
the
so it
public
feels like
records
this is maybe
of
a
any
little
party
bit
or witness in
dramatic.
this case. Any information you obtain outside the
I
courtroom
wonder if this was
could
like
be
a
misleading,
crazy
inaccurate,
case.
or incomplete. Relying on this information is unfair because the parties would not have the opportunity to refute, explain, or
knit
correct
one, knit
it.
one, purl one, knit one.
Do not communicate with anyone about this trial or your experience as a juror while you are serving on this jury. Do not use a computer, cell phone, or other electronic device with
in the
communication
court, it's documented that
capabilities
they were told.
to
That's
share
true,
any
yeah,
information
because the,
about this case.
stenographer
For
has to,
example,
like,
do not
type down
communicate by blog,
literally everything
email,
that they hear.
text message, Twitter, or in any other way on or off the computer about
True,
this case
Azuma.
until
That's a good
after
point.
you are discharged from your duties. Do not permit anyone to communicate with you.
Bro, you can't
and if
say
anyone does so,
discharge
despite your
duties
telling
in the
them
same
not to,
sentence.
you should
Come
report
on.
that to me. I appreciate that it is tempting when you go home in the evening to discuss this case with another member of your household, but you may not do so. This case must be decided by you, the jurors, based on the evidence presented in the courtroom. People not serving on this jury have not heard the evidence, and it is improper for them
So
to
now we just
influence
knit
your
one, purl
deliberations
one all the
and
way down,
discussion
and we wanna make
decision
sure
in this case. After this trial is
that we
completed,
end on
you
a
are free to
knit.
communicate.
That was abrupt. That
If any juror has reason to believe that another juror has violated these rules, you should report that to me. If jurors do not comply with
I
these
think this
rules,
is
it
ripped
could
from
result
live
in a new
TV. So
trial
anything that
involving
happened on
additional
live
time and
TV,
significant expense
that
to the
is
parties and the taxpayers.
a tech issue or whatever.
You are to decide this case solely on the evidence offered and received at trial. Evidence is, first, the sworn testimony of witnesses, both on direct and cross-examination, regardless of who called the witness. Second, the exhibits the court has
This bow tie is fucking shit up. I'm going to pause it and unpause it just in case it's on my end, but I don't think it is. It does not seem that it is. Oh, also I keep wanting to call them procedural.
of other evidence,
The
which they
automatic
believe is not
caption
properly
stops,
admissible.
so it's got to be
You
like
should not draw
hard-coded
any conclusions from the
problems
fact
into the
that an
video.
objection was made. By allowing testimony or other evidence to be received
See you later,
over
Hackman.
the
Have a good one.
objection of counsel, the court is not indicating any opinion about the evidence. You jurors are the judges of the credibility of the witnesses and the weight of the evidence. You are not required to, but you may take notes during this trial, except during opening statements and closing arguments. The court will provide you with materials. In taking notes, you must be careful that it does not distract you from carefully listening to and observing the witnesses. You may rely on your notes to refresh your memory
I am
during your
so
deliberations.
clumsy at this,
Otherwise,
too. I'm
keep them
so sorry,
confidential.
everybody.
After the trial, the notes will be collected and destroyed. You will not have a copy of the written transcript of the trial testimony available for use during deliberations. You should pay careful attention to all the testimony
Why
because
would
you
they
must
not-
rely primarily on your memory of the evidence and testimony introduced.
Why would they not
during the
provide
trial.
them?
During the course of a trial, the attorneys may
transcript. Why would
refer
they
to
not
or
do that?
use police
Eptar,
reports
do
with
you know?
witnesses. Normally, these police reports will not be provided to you. If you are not provided with a police report, you should use your collective memory regarding any reference to police reports. It is the duty of the jury to scrutinize and to weigh the
They worry it's
testimony
gonna
of
be taken out of
witnesses
court, but
and to
during
determine the effect
deliberations?
of the evidence as a whole. You are the sole judges of the credibility, that is, the believability of the witnesses and of the weight to be given to their testimony. In determining the credibility of each witness and the weight you
Why
give to the
would
testimony of
the
each
court
witness,
not provide a
consider these
transcript?
factors. Whether the
I have to
witness
start
has an
over. I
interest
definitely
or lack
lost
of
my
interest
place. That's
in the
fine,
result
though.
of this
I
trial.
planned
The
for
witness's
that.
conduct, appearance, and demeanor.
Why
on the
would
witness stand,
the court not
the
provide
clearness
the
or lack of
jurors a
clearness
transcript
of the witness's
of
recollections,
everything
the
while
opportunity
they're
the witness
deliberating?
had for
Why would they
observing
make
and for
them
knowing the
rely on their
matters
own notes
the
and
witness
memories?
testified about, the reasonableness of the
That
witness's
feels
testimony,
bad and wrong
the apparent
to me,
intelligence
but I
of
imagine
the
there's
witness,
probably a good
bias or
reason.
prejudice, if any, has been shown, possible motives for falsifying testimony, and all other facts and circumstances during the trial which tend either to support or to discredit the testimony. Then give to the testimony of each witness the weight you believe it should receive. There's no magic way for you to evaluate the testimony. Instead, you should use your common sense and experience. In everyday life, you
Nice,
determine for
Jess.
yourselves the reliability of things people say to you. You should do the same thing here. An information is nothing more than a written formal accusation against a defendant charging the commission of one or more criminal acts. You are not to consider it as evidence against the defendant in any way. It does not raise any inference of guilt.
It's up to the jury to be attentive,
Count
not
1
to listen,
and count
wait
5
until the
of
end
the amended
case to
information
read about what was
each
said.
allege that the
Still,
above-named
that's-
defendant, Chandler M. Halderson,
That just seems
on
like,
and
well,
or
you should have
between
been
July
listening,
1,
and now that you
2021
weren't, a
and
man's
July
life
8,
hangs in your hands.
2021 in Dane
And
County, Wisconsin.
We
did,
have a thing that
as to
would
count
help you,
1,
but we're not
cause
going
the
to do
death
it
of
because
Bart
you
A.
messed up.
Halderson
That's what
with
that feels
intent
like.
to
That's
kill
so
that person,
fucking
and
weird.
as to
I
count
don't
5,
like that.
caused the death of Krista R. Halderson with intent
I would
to
also
kill
be a
that
bad
person.
juryman. I
Both
have untreated
contrary
ADD,
to
like-
WISSTAT section 940.01,
Woof.
sum 1,
I imagine if
someday.
I told them that,
To
though,
these
they
two
would just be
charges,
like, yeah, you
Chandler M.
can't be on a
Halderson has
jury.
entered a plea of not guilty, which means the state must prove every element of each offense charged beyond a reasonable doubt. First-degree intentional homicide, as defined in Section 940.01 of the Criminal Code of Wisconsin, is committed by one who causes the death of another human being with the intent to kill that person or another. Before you may find the defendant guilty of either of these offenses, the state must prove by evidence which satisfies you beyond a reasonable doubt that the following two
Jared.
elements were present for each count. Number one, the defendant caused the death
Nice
of
job, Jobs. I think
Bart
that that's
A.
something that you
Halverson and,
want
as to the
on a
second charge,
jury, is
caused
somebody
the
who
death
will
of
play devil's
Krista R.
advocate.
Halverson. Cause means that the defendant's act was a substantial factor in producing the death. Element 2, the defendant acted with the intent to kill Bart A. Halderson and, as to the second charge, acted with intent to kill Krista R. Halderson. Intent to kill means that the defendant had the mental purpose to take the life of another human being or was aware that his conduct was practically certain to cause the death of another human being. While the law requires that the defendant acted with intent to kill, it does not require that the intent
guess we're only
exists
doing
for any
11 for
particular
now
length
because
of
I did
time
not,
before the act is committed.
grab along
The
my
act need
tail.
not be brooded over, considered, or reflected upon for a week, a day, an hour, or even a minute. There need not be
Hey,
any
Billy. Hey,
appreciable
Dolliver.
time
How are you
between
guys?
the
Good to see
formation
you
of
both.
the intent and the act. The intent to kill may be formed at any time before the act, including the instant before the act, and must continue to exist at the time of the act. You cannot look into a person's mind to find intent. Intent to kill must be found, if found at all, from the defendant's acts, words, and statements, if any, and from all the facts and circumstances in this case bearing upon intent. Intent should not be confused with motive. While proof of intent is necessary to a conviction, proof of motive is not. Motive refers to a person's reason for doing something. While motive may be shown as a circumstance to aid in establishing the guilt of a defendant, the state is not required to prove motive on the part of a defendant in order to convict. Evidence of motive does not by itself establish guilt. You should give it the weight you believe it deserves under all the circumstances. If you are satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, as to the first count,
this is
caused
probably
the death of
painful
Bart
for
A.
anybody who knows
Halderson and,
how to
as to the
fucking
second
knit.
count, the fifth count, caused the death of Krista R. Halderson,
All right, my
with,
mod
as
in
to
here
each
right
count,
now.
the intent to kill, you should find the defendant guilty
I don't
of
have
first-degree
access to my
intentional
modding tools
homicide.
because my
If you are
keyboard is
not so satisfied, you must find the
behind
defendant
my,
not guilty.
my monitor there.
Count 2 and Count 6 of the information each allege that the above-named defendant, Chandler M. Halderson, on and or between July 1, 2021 and July 8, 2021, in Dane County, Wisconsin, did deliver written and or oral communication with intent to induce a false belief that the defendant had knowledge of the whereabouts or physical condition of a missing person, Bart A. Halderson as to count 2, and Krista R. Halderson as to count 6, both contrary to WISSTAT section 946.48, sub 1. To these two charges, Chandler M. Halderson has entered a plea of not guilty, which means the state must prove every element
Okay.
of each offense
guy is trying to say
beyond
he
a
didn't do
reasonable
it.
doubt. Section 946.48 of the Criminal Code of Wisconsin is
Thank you,
violated
Steve.
by one who
Appreciate you.
sends, delivers,
Really?
and or
Okay.
causes to be transmitted to another
Sorry, it's my
any
fucking
written or
mic
oral
does not stay
communication
pointed at my face.
with intent to induce a false belief
But I can
that
turn
the
this
sender
down.
has knowledge of the whereabouts of a missing person.
Hopefully this
Before
is
you may
better.
find the defendant guilty of either of these offenses, the state must
Hopefully
prove by
this is
evidence
better.
which satisfies you beyond a reasonable doubt that the following two elements were present for each count.
Let me know if this
Number
is
one,
balanced better,
the
guys.
defendant sent, delivered, or caused to be transmitted a written or oral communication to Dane County Sheriff's
Okay, that was
deputies.
flipped.
Element
This is
2,
Pearl.
the defendant did so
then we have
with
to
the
knit
intent
one
to
at the
induce a
end.
false belief
Yeah.
that he had knowledge of the whereabouts of a missing person, specifically Bart A. Halderson as to count 2
Please.
and Krista R.
Golly.
Halderson as to count 6. This means that the defendant had the mental purpose to cause the Dane County Sheriff deputies to believe that he had knowledge of the whereabouts of a missing person, specifically Bart A. Halderson and Krista R. Halderson, or was aware that his conduct was practically certain to cause Dane County Sheriff deputies to believe that he had knowledge of the whereabouts of a missing person. Again, specifically Bart A. Halderson.
Seems like you're
and
struggling a
Krista
bit.
R.
Oh yeah,
Halderson.
I'm just
You
now
cannot look
learning.
into a person's mind to find intent. Intent must be found, if found at all,
Oh, golly,
from the
that is
defendant's acts, words, and statements, if
ugly.
any, and from all the facts and circumstances.
I'm
in
sorry, I'm
this
going to start
case,
over again, guys.
bearing
This
upon
is going to happen a lot if that's
if you are
going to
satisfied
upset people.
beyond a reasonable doubt that the two elements
Video
of
a
this
little louder?
offense
Sure.
have been proved, you should find the defendant guilty.
How's
if you are
this?
not so satisfied, you must find the defendant not guilty. Count 3 and count 7 of the information each allege that the above-named defendant, Chandler M.
There are
Halderson,
pearl stitches
on
happening,
and
yeah.
or between July 1, 2021 and July 8, 2021 in Dane County, Wisconsin, did,
turn it
as to count 3, dismember the corpse of Bart A. Halderson with the intent to conceal a crime. And as to count
fucking
7,
love a bow
dismember
tie,
the corpse
TBH.
of Krista R. Halderson
Bow ties,
with the intent to
suspenders.
conceal a crime.
I'm
Both
into that shit,
contrary
man.
to Wistat section
I like it.
940.11 sub 1. To these two
Like,
charges, Chandler M.
if you
Halderson
dress
has
like a
entered plea of not
mixologist,
guilty,
I think you
which
look
means the state
sharp.
must prove every element of each offense charged beyond a reasonable doubt. Section 940.11 sub 1 of the Criminal Code of Wisconsin is violated by one who mutilates, disfigures, or dismembers a corpse with intent to conceal a crime or avoid apprehension, prosecution,
Yeah,
or
I think we're in for a
conviction
grisly
for
one,
crime.
boys. I
Before you
just
may
made sure
find
that it
the
was a
defendant
homicide that I
guilty of
hadn't heard
each
anything
of these
about.
offenses, or either of these offenses, the state must prove by evidence which satisfies you beyond a reasonable doubt that the following two elements were present for each count. Element 1, the defendant dismembered a corpse. Element 2, the defendant dismembered a corpse with
Yeah, I
the
feel you,
intent
Lover.
to
I want
conceal
to
a
get
crime.
good at this
This
kind
requires
of thing,
that the
though.
defendant acted with the purpose to conceal a crime. You cannot look into a person's mind to find intent. Intent must be found.
That's how
if
you
found
do
at all
scare me
From
sometimes.
the defendant's
You
acts,
just do.
words,
You
and
just
statements,
scare
if
me
any,
sometimes.
And from all the facts and circumstances.
lucky
in
for
this
you, I
case,
am so
bearing
fucking into
upon
that.
Intent. If you are satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that both elements of this offense have been proved, you should find the defendant guilty. If you
Yeah,
are
absolutely,
not so
Sleep Ninja.
satisfied, you must find the defendant not guilty. Count 4 and count 8 of the information each allege that the above-named defendant, Chandler M. Halderson, on and or
Hi, babe.
between July 1, 2021 and July 8, 2021
You're amazing.
in
Thank
Dane
you.
County, Wisconsin,
I
did,
got
as
Coke
to count
today
1, hide the
because
corpse
I'm on my period.
of Bart A. Halderson with the intent to conceal a crime, and as to count 8, hide the corpse
Everybody
of
wants you
Krista
to come
R.
say hi.
Halderson with the intent to conceal a crime. Both
Put your head
contrary
by my head.
to Wistat
Put it
section
like around here.
940.11 sub 1. To these two charges, Chandler M. Halderson has
love
entered a
you.
plea of not guilty, which means the state must prove every element of each offense
Thank you.
charged beyond a reasonable
If
doubt.
you hear snorting, don't
Section
come running.
940.11 sub 2 of the Criminal Code of Wisconsin is violated by one who hides or buries a corpse with intent to conceal a crime or avoid apprehension, prosecution, or conviction for a crime.
Two now.
Before you may find the defendant guilty of either of these offenses, the state must prove by evidence which satisfies you beyond a reasonable doubt that the following two elements were present for each count. Element 1, the defendant hid a corpse. Element 2, the defendant hid a corpse.
That's
with
pretty
the
weird
intent
for a
to
paralegal,
conceal a
Eptar.
crime.
Hey-o.
This requires that the defendant acted with the purpose to conceal a crime. You cannot look into a person's mind to find intent. Intent must be found, if found at all, from the defendant's acts, words, and statements, if any, and from all the facts and circumstances in this case bearing upon intent. If you are satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that both elements of these offenses have been proved, you should find the defendant guilty. If you are not so satisfied, you must find the defendant not guilty. In reaching your verdicts, examine the evidence with care and caution. Act with judgment, reason, and prudence. Defendants are not required to prove
love the
their
word
innocence.
prudence.
The law presumes every person charged with the commission of an offense to be innocent. This presumption requires a finding of not guilty, unless, in your deliberations, you find it is
Hi,
overcome
Victoria. How
by
are
evidence
you?
which satisfies you
How the
beyond a
heck are you
reasonable
casting
doubt
on?
that the defendant
You
is
take the
guilty.
working yarn
The burden
and
of
the
establishing
tail,
every fact necessary
you
to
spread them,
constitute guilt
and then
is
you
upon the state.
slide,
Before
slide,
you can return a
slide,
verdict of guilty,
and then pull
the evidence must
tight.
satisfy you beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. If you can reconcile the evidence upon any reasonable hypothesis consistent with the defendant's innocence, you should do so and return a verdict of not guilty. The term reasonable doubt means a doubt based upon reason and common sense. It is a doubt for which a reason can be given, arising from a fair and rational consideration of the evidence or lack of evidence. It means such a doubt as would cause which would cause a person of ordinary prudence to pause or hesitate when called upon to act in the most important affairs of life.
Okay, I have a
A
really
reasonable
gross
doubt
question,
is
Evtar.
not a doubt which
They
is
would,
based
like,
on mere guesswork or speculation.
test your
A doubt
waist.
which arises merely from sympathy
Would they?
or from fear to return a verdict of guilt is not a reasonable doubt.
Oh
A
no,
reasonable
doll
doubt
lover,
is
that's
not
the
a doubt,
worst.
such as may be used to escape the responsibility of a decision. While it is your duty to overcome the presumption of the defendant's innocence and proven the defendant guilty, statement is to give the lawyers an opportunity to tell you what they expect
many
the evidence will show,
audio bugs.
so that you will better
That is
understand
really
the evidence
frustrating.
as it is introduced during the trial.
They
I must
could.
caution you,
Would
however,
they?
that the opening statements are not evidence. Attorney Brown.
Thank you. Could I have the screen turned on, Judge? On the left HDMI? While he's doing that, I'll promise you he'll give you a copy of that, by the way. You don't have to remember all of those instructions. My name is William Brown. I'm the Deputy District Attorney of Dane County. Yesterday you met Andrea Raymond. Together we're the prosecutors in the case. You heard a little bit about how the process worked in jury selection, and you probably thought you were being strung along the whole time, and in a bit you were. Everyone was trying to gauge your knowledge of the case, maybe any preconceived notions you had about the criminal justice system. Ms. Vera asked you a lot of questions about what you would think if she did nothing and sat there, and those were good questions. I won't do nothing in this case because it would be a very short trial if I did. You're going to hear from me, Ms. Raymond, quite a bit. Our job in a case is to present evidence. That means to call witnesses. The judge talked about what evidence is. When we think of evidence, sometimes we think of, especially a murder case. You're in a murder case. You think of the gun. And you'll get that. There'll be a gun. You'll see that. But evidence is so much more. The first thing evidence is the first thing the judge mentioned. Evidence is first the sworn testimony of witnesses, both on direct and cross-examination.
No, Victoria, I'm
When
awful
people
at
raise
knitting.
their right
I'm just
hand
now
and they swear to
learning.
tell the truth, that's evidence.
I'm just now
Now,
relearning.
you as jurors
I
can
used to
decide
kind of know.
whether you believe it or not.
I used to be better
Does
than
this
I
person have
am
any
now, but
bias
still
or
not like
prejudice?
good.
Do they have
I was
anything to
very
gain
much a beginner.
by what they're saying? Do they have anything to lose? All those things are up to you. But sworn testimony is
Okay,
evidence.
that was a pearl. And now
Photographs are evidence. Videos are evidence. Statements made by people involved in the case, including Mr. Halderson, are evidence.
Oh, come on.
Our job is to, over the course of the next couple of weeks, present evidence to show you the path.
Frustrating. This is so frustrating.
what we believe
I'm so
happened.
bad at this.
Which is
I'm
that
not
Chandler Halderson
Used to being
Killed his
this
parents.
bad.
dismembered their bodies and hid them around southern Wisconsin. We've been talking about Bart and Krista Halderson. You've heard their names mentioned numerous times by the judges here. That's Bart and Krista Halderson. I'm going to try to use some photos as I talk to maybe guide us along. Some people are more visual learners, some aren't. That's Bart and Krista Halderson.
Aw, thank you,
Couple in
guys.
their early 50s,
You're wonderful.
living in Windsor, Wisconsin. A quiet street, in a quiet house, kind of in a quiet town. If you don't know Windsor, think just south of DeForest. Or maybe if you're heading up toward the Dells, when you see the Fleet Farm on your left, if you
Fucking
look
love
right,
the Wisconsin Dells. I fucking
That's the
love them. So
At this
much
point,
fun.
perhaps it would be best if I told you a little bit about the Halderson family. Bart, the father, Krista, the mother. They have 2 sons.
Pearl.
Chandler, the defendant.
Are you
and his
considering
older
adding a
brother,
creepy
Mitchell.
crochet? Yeah, I want to completely
Chandler and
rebrand
Mitchell are
the
close in
channel
age,
art
but Mitchell's the
altogether into a
The time this all
crochet
happened,
/
living in the
Ouija
Halderson home,
board theme.
was Bart Halderson, Krista Halderson, and Chandler. Mitchell had moved out. Mitchell had a job working as an IT person for a local corporation, doing pretty well in life. He's engaged, doing pretty well in life. Buying a house, adult things.
I'm really poor
Growing up.
right now, so I can't afford art.
But in
and
July of
I don't want
2021,
to ask anybody to do it for free.
Bart and Krista living in that house, and their adult 23-year-old son, Chandler Halderson, living in his room. Now, all of the
And
events
this
I'm going to
last
describe,
one,
for the most part,
name it.
take place
Hi,
during the first
Paco.
week of July, from the 1st to about the 8th. So I put up a calendar. This is not evidence in the case, I suppose. It might be. Maybe I'll mark it as an exhibit. But it's to provide some reference, and I put the little flag on there, because if you remember this year, the 4th of July was on a Sunday. Everyone
Let's
celebrated, of
pull
course, all
this
weekend.
so that
A lot of
the
places
tension
celebrated on
hopefully
Saturday. But the 4th of July was on a Sunday.
Evens out a little bit.
Now, I'm giving my opening statement. The judge told you opening statements aren't evidence. And in fact, that's the reason you don't have
From a
notebooks. I'd like to think
museum.
so, you have to pay attention to me, but that's not true. It's because nothing I say is evidence. So as I say things up here, what I'm saying is what I expect to prove in the next couple of weeks.
I would say I can't do that. It's
But what I
immoral,
expect
but then
to
you guys
prove
would
beyond
just
any reasonable doubt
think that I was
is
working
that on
for
July
big
1st,
Renaissance painting.
2021,
And,
somewhere between 3
you know,
p.m.
I just can't have that
and 5
ruin my
p.m.
reputation.
Chandler Halderson murdered his parents. It's an important date, and it's an important time to remember. July 1st, between 3 and 5. But the story doesn't start there. And this trial wouldn't be 3 to 4
Hell
weeks
yeah, doll lover, that's
if the
sick.
trial ended there. The story starts a week later, on July 7th, 2021. Nearly a week after killing his parents, but no one in the world knowing. Chandler Halderson walks into the Northeast
you don't
Precinct of the
summon
Dane County
demons
Sheriff's
from
Office
the web.
and says, "I'd like to file a missing persons report."
Bumble Kitty
He sits
Store.
down
I
with
feel like
sheriff's
I would
deputies.
just. I feel
You'll
like
meet
we
them
would
today.
actually hang out. Like I feel like you and I would
He gives a
make
long
plans
story.
and hang out together
My parents,
IRL.
they just haven't come back from
that
the
like
cabin.
I just feel like we would be friends.
They were there this weekend. We have a cabin up north. It's in White Lake, up in Langlade County. It's pretty far up north, a couple of hours. They just haven't come back yet. They were going to come back Monday or Tuesday, and I don't know where they are. Who were they with? The deputies ask. I don't know. I helped them pack Thursday night. They must have left Friday early before I woke up at
knit
6.
one, and then it's
Who'd they
Pearl
go with?
one, knit one.
I don't know. Where are their cars? Well, they're still at the house. What'd you help them pack? Bottles of liquor, lots of money, tools, silver bars. Why were they going up there? Some people they were fixing a window. Some people there was a plumbing issue, storm damage. The story varied. Sometimes they took just money. Sometimes they took just liquor. But over that day and the next, talking to numerous sheriff's deputies, detectives, including those detectives, he gives this bizarre story of his parents leaving
Oh no.
in an unknown car, going to a cabin with an unknown couple, with an unknown amount of money, for really an unknown
We just
reason.
knit, now we purl.
So sheriff's deputies do what cops do, which is they ask him, "Have you heard from him?" And he says, "Yeah. I got a text from my mom." And he did. He showed him his phone. Made it safely. This is from Krista Halderson to Chaz. That's what his family calls him. Not Chandler, they call him Chaz. Made it safely. Can't get anything through, though. Yes, it's packed. Going to White Lake today for the parade. We'll be home Monday night.
If you ever do, let me know.
Tuesday
I have a
early.
guest room. My office is
Love
a
you
guest
lots.
room, so by all means, you'd have somewhere to stay
So at this point, the sheriff's
in the
deputies don't know
Halifax
what they're
area.
dealing with. These folks get up there and decide, we're
We
going to
just knitted one. So
go to
now
the
it's time
casino
to
for a
purl
few
one.
days. We're going to play
I
hooky.
think. Hold on. Knit.
Didn't make a
knit,
lot of
purl,
sense. They started
knit,
talking
purl.
to coworkers and
Oh,
realized
knit.
these people had never
Yeah, okay.
no call, no showed, missed work, which they both did on Friday. Did they crash their car? Did this other
I'm
couple
so sorry
kidnap
if
them?
this is like ugly and horrible for you guys to watch.
Who the hell are they?
I'm so sorry.
But what good police do, and what they did in this case, is they start looking into the people who saw them last, who were with them last, who reported them missing. And in this case, all three of those things, the person who purportedly saw them last, was with them last, and reported them missing were the same person. There's Chandler Halderson. So what the police did was started to look into Chandler Halderson. This is all occurring in the same 24-hour, 48-hour period. And what they learn about him isn't suspicious at all. He's a Madison College student, MATC. They go by Madison College now, if you didn't get the email. Madison College student. He's about to
This guy's way
graduate.
too like.
He's
smart
studying
me.
renewable resource engineering, kind of a hybrid IT degree with solar panels, things of that sort. He's about to get a certificate. But things had looked bright for him. He'd recently been working at American Family Insurance. He's working from home like most of us the last couple of years. But he's working a good job at American Family Insurance. And not only was he working a good job, Chandler had just gotten a better job. He got hired at SpaceX. He was about to embark on a career that people in the IT field could only dream of.
Fuck yeah,
Planning to move
Avatar.
to
Good to know.
Titusville,
A bunch of my
Florida. That's
friends
where
there.
SpaceX operation was down in Florida. With his
Also,
girlfriend. They'd rented an apartment.
are like
bought a
in
car.
the know a lot of the time, but
And not only was this not someone who was antisocial,
also a lot
He
of the
was
time they're
pro-social.
dry.
he was working with the Madison Police and the Department of Natural Resources on their rescue diving team. He was a scuba diver, working with the police. The only thing that was a bit odd is he'd recently suffered a head injury. Fallen down the stairs, had terrible concussion, was unable to move for the most part. Had to wear a neck brace. He was permanently, perhaps injured.
So scared.
All of those things
Scared of this.
threw
It should
police
not be this
off
hard.
from thinking it was Chandler. He had anything to do with this. And at that
Very
point, for all they knew,
self-conscious too about how it like looks
as sad as it is, Bart and
to
Krista
you guys.
and an unknown couple were crashed into a ditch
okay.
somewhere between
Knit,
here and
knit,
White Lake,
purl.
Wisconsin. Dead from a car crash. So they started looking. Deputies are sent up north. The Langlade County Sheriff's Department is searching a cabin. No one had ever been there. It didn't look like anyone had been there at all in years.
And then we knit.
It was run down. The
twice
grass hadn't
because
been
you have
mowed. There was
to
no
end on
food in
a
the
knit.
refrigerator. No one had been there. So the police expand their search and they start talking to not only just Chandler, people about Chandler, they start talking to people who were with Chandler that weekend. Specifically, they talked to his girlfriend, a young girl named Catherine. She goes by Kat. And Kat says, I was with him like all weekend. We had a normal 4th of July weekend. We went out
I fucked
my
it up.
family's farm. We got a
I
farm.
fucked it up and I
there was
have
a
to start
pool,
over,
we ate
guys.
dinner. Chandler was having the concussion issue and he couldn't really move his legs, and so he asked to use their pool the next day because he thought that was good therapy. So the police, what do they do next? They go talk to the person who owns the farm. And they say, was Chandler out here? And she goes, yeah, he was out here on the 4th of July. But you know what? He showed up the next day by himself. He showed up the next day by himself. I told him he could come back anytime, as we just say to people, not expecting they're going to roll into your house the next day.
Could not find any of my apparatuses
She
there
says
for
he
a
was
minute.
acting bizarre. Said that he had a doctor's appointment and they'd given him some bad news that he was going to lose his job at SpaceX because he couldn't travel. He couldn't attend to orientation to start. And she goes, he asked to use the pool. And of course I said yes. This woman will testify and she'll tell you that she sat in her house for a while, perhaps a bit weirded out that someone had just shown up at her rural farm. But she let him have his space. But about an hour later, she goes down to the pool to check on him. He's not there. No one had opened the pool. No one had been in the pool. But she sees his car. And it's parked out in the field, away from the pool, backed in toward where that grass is a bit longer, and had its hatch up. She thought, boy, that was strange. But she thought maybe he's just on a walk.
Let's do fewer.
So she goes in the
stitches
pool. She said, I'm just
until
gonna
I
go
get the
pool.
hang
If you
of
remember
this
that weekend,
pattern.
it's extraordinarily hot. She starts swimming. She says, then I see Chandler. He's walking out.
Yes, this is
the
opening
woods
statements.
in that area.
Azuma.
Now, at this point in the investigation, the police are out there with this woman. They're out on the farm, and she says he walked out over there. And you'll hear from the detective, Detective Brett Baverstock, who was out there. And he'll tell you that his eyes kind of shifted up, and he saw vultures. And I promise the photos are only going to go this far for right now. But the police walked about 20 yards
I think I
into the
just
woods.
figured out the magic thing that
And in that pile
everybody's
of
been
debris-
doing, and it's just not making a knot.
Under dozens of sticks,
good to
bushes, and
know.
dirt, they found Bart Halderson. Now, when I say they
Let's
found
do
Bart
11
Halderson,
for now.
I need to
3.
explain that.
Oh, fuck.
They found a human torso. Someone had crudely chopped off the head.
Are
the
they about to
arms,
show it? Did they show
and
it? They
sawed
didn't
off
show
the
it, did they?
legs in the middle of the thigh, leaving the underwear on, and the beginnings of the pants. They removed the sticks and brush over a course of a few hours. They brought out doctors from the medical examiner's office to make sure everything was done appropriately. They rolled the torso over. There were gunshots in the back. This man had been shot in the back and chopped up. At this point, the farm, a beautiful farm, cultivated for years with wildflowers, kind of an Eden of sorts, was turned into a crime scene.
Excuse me.
Police swarmed.
Excuse me.
Drones were in the air. Cadavers, dogs were on the
Constable
ground.
isn't the right word. What's the word I'm
Everyone's
looking
looking
for?
absolutely everything they could, but
Not
it's a farm.
magistrate either.
There's a million
Counselor, I
places
guess.
things could
Excuse me, counselor. The thing about wildflowers
Well,
is
one
you do not
detective said-
cultivate them. They are
Look at that,
wild.
in the woods. Is that a
Why are you
garbage
doing
can
that?
Full of a tarp? It was. And I'll tell you that tarp.
Oh
was
man,
taken out,
Norm
taken to
Macdonald
Wisconsin
has
State
a
Crime Lab
lot of
eventually.
long
Bart
jokes that make you
Halderson, Krista
groan.
Halderson, their blood is all over it. Another detective said that spot where Chandler was walking out of the woods, there's an oil barrel there, like an old fuel tank with a hole in it. That's right where the car was parked. So she peeks her head in. And that's what she sees. Broken saw blades, hand saws, scissors, tree loppers, all of them tested by the state crime lab, all of them covered in human flesh
Norm
and
was
blood
the best.
of Bart and Krista Halderson.
Josiah loves him even more than I do.
The farm was searched extensively, and I'll tell you that some months later, things were even continuing to be found up to this fall. In October, the homeowner, the person who owns the farm, was tearing apart a barn trying to clean it. And there in a barn about 100 yards from where Bart Halderson was found, the murder weapon behind a bunch of boards on the side of the barn. At this point in the investigation, the police knew they needed to start talking to Chandler. He's seen coming out of the location where his dad's body was, just brutally chopped apart. The tools, the cutting instruments are found there. So they do what police do. They bring him downtown. But they ask him, and he's at the house, and they ask him and his girlfriend to come downtown with them. And they do. And that girlfriend, Kat, is in one room, and Chandler is in another.
Oh shit.
Chandler, and you'll see this, we'll play it,
When you knit one,
for over an
you
hour,
have to
meets
make
with
sure
police.
that the string is
And
behind
again,
the word.
regurgitates this odd story of his parents with this missing couple in a
No,
random car,
Eptar, come back to us.
going places that no one really
Dude
knew.
and his MS Paint skills.
Where Kat, in the other room, She's vomiting information to the police.
Sometimes,
Literally,
yeah. Sometimes
vomiting at
killers
times.
do be dumb.
But also vomiting
and just
information
make
in
you a
terms of she has her phone
point-and-click
out. She's giving him
adventure, hey?
pictures. She's providing every single detail she can because she'll tell you when she testifies. She's one of these people that watches these crime shows. And she knows when someone's missing, you got to exclude the people closest to him first. And she thought, that's what we got to do. Chandler didn't have anything to do with this. I didn't have anything to do with this. We got to get to the people who did. And the first step is we got to exclude us. She didn't
He
for a
means
second.
eliminate. He keeps saying
Mr.
words he
Robertson didn't do
doesn't
anything
mean.
wrong.
I'm
she
sure
thought
of
she was
it.
with him most of the weekend.
This
And I'll tell you right now, Kat did nothing wrong. Kat was an
lawyer
unknowing,
seems not that
unwilling
great.
accomplice to some of this, but she did absolutely nothing wrong. And she'll tell you, she liked Mr. and Mrs. Alderson. There were the normal disputes you'd have with your boyfriend or girlfriend's parents.
he's not a
Maybe you
great
wanna go out a lot
talker.
and they don't let you. Maybe you want to.
And I feel like as a
hang
lawyer,
out
you
more than
gotta
you want
be a great talker.
She liked him. Her phone is full of messages between her and Mrs. Halderson. Friendly in all respects. Kat meets with police not just once, but multiple times. And in one of these meetings, she says, you know what was weird? Is this weekend, when I was with Chandler, while his parents were at the cabin, I left the house early one day, on Saturday, in fact, Saturday, July 3rd. And she says, he told me he was going to do chores that morning around the house. But when I looked at my Snapchat, I saw his location was in a weird spot. If you don't know, on Snapchat, you can set it up so that other people can see exactly where you are. A GPS tracker on you at all times. If you
Why would you
Chandler
ever
had that
do
set up with his
that?
girlfriend. And she goes, it was so weird where he was. I took a screenshot of it on my phone. And that's what it showed. Chandler was saved as hubby in her phone. That's perhaps a term of endearment between two folks dating in their 20s.
Yeah, perhaps. Perhaps that's a term of...
But she said, at 8:58 in the morning, when he was supposed to be doing chores on Saturday, July 3rd, I thought it was strange that he was in what appears to be a forest on the banks of the Wisconsin River near Prairie du Sac. The police took that. They identified immediately where that location was, just based on looking at it. That's a bridge. Couldn't be hard. Out they go. The drones go up. The dogs go out. The search team starts searching. Very quickly. And I promise
Imagine
this is
getting
as far
caught
as the
because you
photos will
didn't
go.
turn off your... Yeah.
They find the remains of Krista Halderson. Now, when I say Krista Halderson, I have to qualify that as well. We found her legs. One complete leg, then somewhat farther away in another bush, a foot, a thigh, but the same pattern. Crudely cut apart with appears to be handsaws, axes, things of that sort. No more of Krista Halderson that's identifiable to her will ever be found. She's just those two legs. At this point, police thought,
It's looking
This is
rough,
just a
but we're
strange location.
actually making it
Why would
happen
Chandler be out
here,
there?
boys and girls. And
you've been out there
everybody
before?
in between and outside of...
And they started talking to people, including girlfriends of his in the past, friends of his, and they say, yeah, Chandler really liked this location out on the Wisconsin River. He'd go there all the time. It's where he'd go swimming. When his friends came into town, that was the secret swimming spot. And one friend even said, you know what? Last year he sent me a picture
Impressive to watch,
while he was
though.
out there.
Yeah, I'm impressed that you ain't sick of my
Shirtless,
shit
hanging
and
from a tree
leaving.
with a machete. I don't know. Didn't have a lot of significance at the time when the police saw it, but eventually someone realized the tree looks unique. Interesting V pattern right there. The hollowness of the tree as it goes down. The way in which 5 of those branches branch off. And eventually one of the detectives realizes why. Something clicked. It was the exact location he ditched his mother's remains. That's about 100 feet away. So obviously, it shouldn't come to anyone's surprise, at some point Chandler was arrested. In fact, he was arrested on July 8th. 2021.
He keeps saying "in fact" in places
When you're
where he
arrested for
does
a lot of
not
crimes,
need
you
to
go to
say
jail,
"in
you get
fact,"
booked
and
in,
it is driving me up
Not
the
much more happens
fucking wall.
investigation-wise after that. They have what they need. But of course, that's not the case in a murder investigation, especially something like this. So Chandler is taken to jail, and the police start searching. When I say searching, you're going to hear about searches of the house, searches of this farm, searches of
Wow,
this
it's
property.
looking really,
You're
really
going to hear about
bad
searches
on
of
this side, hey?
landfills and ponds and ditches all across Dane County. But
We'll
one of
get
the things
there,
they
though.
started
We'll get
searching
there.
was, what was this guy doing on his phone that weekend? And oddly enough, most of what they found was nothing. Either Chandler hadn't Googled anything all weekend, except for the 8th. or
Which
he had
side is
deleted
this
his
for? The
search history.
prosecution? I think so, yeah.
You'll never know. But remember, he was arrested on July 8th.
If it's for the
taken to the
defense, then
police
it's
station,
an
and that's where they told everyone, we
embarrassing
know what's
open
going on.
statement for the defense.
So meaning, while he was still on his phone on July 8th, he was still telling everyone his parents were missing. Not just the police. This kid was standing in his front lawn giving media interviews to all the local media outlets about the cabin and the unknown couple and the unknown car. He was going door to door in his neighborhood. My parents are missing. Can you help me out? Do you have any security cameras, by the way? And you'll hear from these neighbors. Some of them were so weirded out by what was going on that they secretly recorded those conversations. One of them, you'll hear, was a man who'd only been retired as a detective with the City of Madison Police for about a month. He recorded his conversation with Mr. Halderson. But while he's doing this that morning, what's he Googling? This is what he's Googling. Body found, Wisconsin. Woman's body found, Wisconsin. Wisconsin dismembered body found. We'll come back to the next two. Dead body found in Wisconsin. Body found in Milwaukee River. He's searching for whether they found his parents. And you'll hear in this case, he's starting to search because he's starting to get worried because the amount of police in his neighborhood has been ramping up and up and up because unbeknownst to him, they're finding his parents' remains. And you'll hear that while this is going on, while he's Googling these things, he's frantically calling police officers. Hey, why are there more cops in my neighborhood? Calls this guy, Brian Shunk. He records him.
Shunk.
What's
I
going
love
on?
the name Shunk.
There's more cops. Did something happen? Did you find something? The middle ones.
How to
State
hide a
versus
body.
Peter.
Clear your search results.
Probably means nothing to everyone.
How to
Nothing
hide a
me
body and in
when I first
fact
saw it.
clear
The
your
name rung a
search
bell, and I
results.
wondered why. Not only did it show he Googled State versus Peter Capuzza, it showed that he clicked on a link on the Wisconsin court's website and read something. What he read was a legal case, much like this one is the State versus Chandler Halderson. The State versus Peter Capuzza, though, was a case that made it to the Court of Appeals based on some legal
How to get
technicalities
away with killing.
about a man
me.
who dismembered part of his family members,
Straight up, it's
threw their bodies in the
pretty
river.
embarrassingly like that, though.
So at the
hey?
same time, Chandler Halderson is going door to door in his neighborhood, crying about his parents being missing, talking to the local news, telling sheriff's deputies, signing documents saying they're missing. He's conducting legal research.
Yeah, things haven't been the same
himself
since
out of jail.
Ask Jeeves got bought
So that
like
today never
140 years ago.
Now, when I started with that calendar a while ago, and I said the police were initially thrown off because of one thing, and that was this text message from Krista. And it's real. I'll tell you, that text message is in all the search warrant returns from U.S. Cellular. It's on the phone that we were able to search. We're not able to search every phone, but some of them are. Made it safely. Can't get anything through, though. Yes, it's packed. Going to White Lake today for the parade. Be home Monday night, Tuesday. Love you lots. Sent on the 4th of July. So the police started
Sent
looking into
on
that.
the 4th of July.
And the first thing they found was
Sorry, I'm sorry.
White Lake. The parade was on July 3rd. Remember, the 4th of July this year
Wrong.
was on a Sunday. So everyone celebrated on Saturday. So they started thinking, well, how the hell did this message get sent? So they searched the Halderson home, where Chandler was. And in the garage, under a shelf, in a shoe, wrapped in aluminum foil, was his mother's phone, along with her driver's license. Police would later subpoena the records from U.S. Cellular, the cell phone carrier that covers Chandler and the family. And they would look into what cell towers were being used when that message was sent. If you didn't know, all of you probably have cell phones. At any time, your phone is pinging off of different cell towers. It's not always the same. As you sit here, half of you might be using one tower and half of you might be using another. It's based on the workload of those towers. You'll hear about that. But it's generally an approximate area of where you are. That message on July 4th, Krista there's in pink, Chandler's in green. The message was sent from the Halderson home on July 4th. Chandler sent it to himself. So at this point, the investigators began to wonder, and perhaps you're beginning to wonder how the evidence will come out. How does this happen?
Like, why on earth would you try to,
with everything in the world going for
come up
him,
with a story instead
promising
of saying,
new jobs,
I don't know,
school,
I haven't seen them, I don't
girlfriend
know,
that loves him,
I
willing
haven't
to
seen
move
them,
across
am
the
I
country
free to
for him?
leave? Can I have my
Even
lawyer?
physically, kid who just suffered this major
I don't
concussion,
know, haven't
was
seen
unable to
him.
use his legs for the most part. How does this happen?
Ooh. Oh no, oh no.
And what you'll learn,
I saved it.
it
It's
happens
okay, I'm the
because
best
none of these
knitter there
things are
ever
true.
was.
He wasn't going to Madison College. He wasn't studying renewable resource engineering. The people at American
He did
Family
not
Insurance,
get hired.
they'd
He
never even heard of him.
pretended that he got hired
There's
at
no indication
SpaceX,
he'd ever even
but he
applied
never
for a
did.
job, much less had any job at SpaceX. The apartment he told his girlfriend he'd rented and the car he'd bought, none of that was real. The Madison police, they don't even have a scuba diving team. Neither does the DNR. And this concussion he apparently suffered, he did go to the hospital. You'll hear from the doctor who was there. He said, yeah, he came in, he reported that he hit his head, falling down the stairs. I diagnosed him with a mild concussion, gave him a neck brace on the way out, told him he could use it if he needed it. But none of the things that Chandler reported to other people, the leg weakness, his inability to move, drive, travel, none of that was real. And given what you're going to find out in this case, you may conclude at the end of it, he never suffered any fall at all.
I feel like we might have listened to something
may
about this
conclude
case on this channel, hey?
Is that it was all made up. Now,
A lot of it is sounding very
we started looking
familiar
into
to me too, but not all of it.
all of these lies. Because
Well, I feel like there's a
does
lot
a
more, like
person
we're learning a lot more during
looks
the
so
court
promising,
case.
was able to convince so many people of his success. How are you able to keep this up? How are you able to catfish your family, your girlfriend, your brother, your friends? And they started to
That's
find
not
things
catfishing.
around the Halderson home.
Who
in the email
are
accounts
you?
Of Bart and Krista Halderson. In the email accounts
Boomer
of Chandler Halderson.
Esquire. Jeez.
When they talk about American Family Insurance, the first big lie Chandler was making up. Again, the people at American Family Insurance, you'll hear them testify. They're directors of human resources. You never worked there. Never worked for any of their affiliates. Never worked for any of the companies that are associated with them.
Yeah, Bumble
Chandler
Kitty,
had
you're
been
not
planning to work there for
wrong.
a year. But he never had any money. And his father was an accountant. So his father would ask him questions pretty much daily. Why don't you have any money? Why haven't you paid any rent? And Chandler spun an amazing web of lies. First it was,
It doesn't sound that
well,
amazing.
I'm a salary guy, but they were accidentally paying me hourly, so they just held my paychecks until they fixed it. Then it was, well, I gave them the wrong direct deposit info. Then it kind of shifted eventually. And he said, well, they were going to pay me, but now the amount is so much, they got to pay me so much money that when they deposited in the bank, they thought it was fake. And police started to find emails like this. This from Tom Selznick, a guy at American Family Insurance in Northeast, remote human resources guy. Describing this. You're registered as salary, but you're making hourly. And these emails would go back and forth with Chandler and the HR person, and eventually he'd forward them to his father. But in the way a parent looks at their child as maybe telling the truth is not the way that you as jurors have to look at this. You, like the police, maybe have to take a more critical look at emails like this. And for one, notice, why is the guy who works at Human Resources at American Family Insurance using a Proton Mail generic
That's
email
okay,
address?
so Nav. I'm so not
Why is the
upset
guy
with
who's the
you.
Human Resources Manager spelling the word resources wrong, saying he's the Human Recourses Manager? It's
Because
comically
anybody can make a typo.
He
But
emailed
that's
himself
terrible
back and
evidence.
forth,
You have
trying to
a
explain why he didn't have
plethora
any
of
money.
good evidence. Why
he
would you
forwards it to
fucking
his
submit that? Hilarious.
Now here's where the story gets maybe a little more.
See you later, Lawrence. Thanks for hanging out. And thank you so much
Having
for
a
the
fake
support.
job.
That was so lovely of you.
Solves a lot of riddles in your life. No one's hassling you to get a new job. No one's hassling you to do chores all day. The problem is, if your dad works from home, if he was an accountant, for instance, which he was, and which he did, you actually have to wake up early every day and go to work. So there he was. Messages between Bart and Chandler. Hey, are you up for your meetings? Yeah. Over and over again. So Chandler woke up. But he had nothing to do all day because his job was pretend. And so he sat on his computer playing video games. And I'm not against people playing video games. I'm a guy myself. People play video games. But video games, if you don't know, and some of you are of an age where you do, and some of you are of an age where you don't, are a much more social thing than they used to be. When you play video games, you don't just sit on Nintendo 64 and play Mario by yourself. You're playing role-player games with people from around the world. And who's up early in the morning when Mr. Halderson had to wake up to attend his fake work meetings? People in the military who are stationed overseas. They speak English, they're American, but they're on a different time schedule. They're on his time schedule. Most people here probably play video games at night during weekdays.
Oh, no.
But every day, Mr. Halderson was able to wake up and find a group of friends to play video games with online, one of which was stationed in Germany. This friend was a guy named Andrew Smith. Now, Mr. Smith, Mr. Halderson became kind of best friends. They would talk all the time. They communicated in this video game all the time.
I think I'm doing this right.
And Mr. Smith, he'll testify. He's coming up here.
I did.
Lives down south.
I did it right.
He's back in the U.S.
I'm amazing.
He'll tell you that
I don't know
Chandler
how I
really
did it,
liked
but I did
an
it.
SKS rifle when they play
It
some
was
of these
under
shooting
the
games.
fucking video, so I don't
something-
even have fucking video of it for
No big deal.
posterity.
There's nothing wrong with that. But this past summer, about a month before the murders of Bart and Krista Halderson,
I'm sad.
this online friend, Andrew Smith, comes to visit Mr. Halderson and, in fact, stays at the home with Bart and Krista. This is the picture of Mr. Smith in that perhaps crudely designed yellow shirt. That's Mr. Halderson. It's the only photo we have of him.
I have a mug that says that on it. And
You'll
I
learn that
love
Mr.
it.
Smith
I
had
love that
gotten out of the
mug.
military. He was done with it.
Hi,
We also learned
Monstro.
that he really likes guns.
Hi,
Like
sweet
he
boy.
really likes guns.
My sweet kitty's
And he knew
here.
his friend liked SKS rifles.
Hi,
so when he
precious.
visited him
Hold on, I have to
this
pet
year
this
in
cat
June,
for a minute. He's being so cute.
he brought with him a gift,
Hi, baby
the
man.
SKS rifle that was found about 100 yards from Bart Halderson's body. Now,
Knitting
you'll meet
tutorial
Mr.
gone around
Smith, and you'll
12
probably concur with me after meeting him. He's not really probably a paperwork kind of guy. And so when he gave the gun to Mr. Halderson, he wanted to document that he transferred the gun. But he wasn't going to fill out any paperwork. So he just
love
took the
my
serial
sweet
number of the
kitty.
gun. He put Mr. Halderson's driver's license next to it and snapped a picture on his phone. There's a clear picture of that. But that serial number matches the gun found in the barn 100 yards from Bart Halderson's body. And before Mr. Smith left, he decided he would gift his friend something else, which was about 400 rounds of high-powered ammunition. Now, you'll hear from Mr. Smith. Despite maybe his bizarre actions and maybe his bizarre statements he may make, he's not a suspect. Police proved he was in Texas at the time all of this happened. Another unknowing accomplice to Mr. Halderson's crimes. So at this point, Mr. Halderson's working a pretend
He's being
job at
very
American Family
sweet
Insurance.
right now, and I can't.
He's not getting paid. His
Ignore
father,
him.
who's an accountant, is kind of on his case
Just
about it.
being so sweet.
And he's got to figure out something else. And the best way out of your pretend job is an even more pretend job. So around May,
It's an
going into
even
June
more
of
pretend
this past
job.
year, American Family wasn't going well, so Mr. Halderson decided to get a new job. He's going to be an astronaut. I work at SpaceX.
Stop.
This is messages to his girlfriend. I have a good feeling about SpaceX. I have a follow-up interview for Florida tomorrow. Shoot, sorry, I got the job. I have training next week over the computer and leave June 11th and start June 14th. He didn't give himself a lot of time, but what he gave himself was an escape hatch. He could move. He could end the lies that he had going on in his life about being a rescue scuba diver and working for American Family Insurance by simply moving to Florida. That presented with it one major problem, which was that job, which was also make-believe, would pay absolutely no better than the last job that was make-believe. So in late June, as he's supposed to start the job at SpaceX in Florida for Elon Musk, something happens in the Halderson family, something real. There's a change. Remember when I started off and I said there were 2 sons? His older brother gets hospitalized. That's real. It happened. Got diagnosed with diabetes and was having some complications. He's doing great now. Mr. Halderson uses that as an excuse to delay starting at SpaceX. It was a stroke of good luck for him, a stroke of bad luck, of course, for the family, but a stroke of good luck for him. But that only gave him a couple of weeks. So his brother, who's doing really well in life, engaged, house, real job, making a lot of money,
Thank you, Selgnav.
suddenly he's in the hospital, being doted over by his family, by his mother. People care about him.
I feel like once I
So
actually
roughly a
have
week later,
tension and
when
how to
Chandler
hold these
Halderson needs to
needles
think
and
of a new
stuff
lie to get out of the SpaceX
down
line,
better, it will look
guess who
really
ends up in the
nice.
hospital, being doted over by his mother and his family.
I
with a supposed neck
appreciate
injury.
that you're so nice.
This is
That's
Father's
really
Day
nice
this
of you
year.
to say.
In late June. That's Bart Halderson in the middle, Mitchell on the right. And of course, Chandler wearing a neck brace that no one told him he had to wear on the left. Now, around this time, Chandler started telling people an extraordinarily bizarre set of claims. That he had a brain bleed, a hematoma, that he had spinal damage, that he needed his head drilled open, that he had inability to use his legs at all. Couldn't drive. People had to do that for him. That he had nerve damage, that he needed to get a colostomy bag. But most importantly,
Why is he telling all these lies
he couldn't go to Florida.
that are so provably
The doctors
false?
had told him he couldn't fly. Of course, that's not true. You'll see his medical records and you'll see his doctor testify. So suddenly this man, who
Golly.
was,
I
for
am
all
so
intents and
bad at
purposes,
this.
disabled, was being doted over by his family. People were making him
Astronaut,
meals. You'll see
cowboy,
notes his mom
millionaire.
was leaving for him.
Right?
Call this neighbor if you need
Golly.
anything. She'll help you out. Couldn't drive, couldn't
It
work.
seems like it,
couldn't do chores.
Silgnav.
Now, a bit of a preview and a fast forward. This guy who's wearing a neck brace nearly every day in late June 2021 would have no problem just days later carrying large bags of ice out of gas stations to chill his father's cut-up body
Ew.
in a freezer. And you'll note, no neck brace. And in fact, you'll note in this case, Chandler Halderson has never seen a neck brace again after July 1st, 2021, when he kills his parents. So the job lies are over for Chandler in his life. American Family Insurance, don't worry about that because he got this new job at SpaceX. In SpaceX, I can't go because I'm hurt. It was a perfect scenario. But there was one last lie that Chandler had to get out of. And that is he had told everyone he was going to MATC for college and that he was about to graduate. And you'll hear there's a hint of truth to that he was going there at one point. In fact, there's a hint of truth to all of these lies. He did go to MATC for like a semester. He failed out. But he wasn't going there anymore. And the parents were starting to grow suspicious. And we knew this because when we searched the house, we started to find notes on Bart Halderson's desk. Bart Halderson was one of these guys who prints his emails. I don't know if any of you print your emails, but some people, they get an email and they print it out.
That's weird.
That was Bart. And we find one. It's an email between Bart and Krista, detailing a conversation that he had had with Chandler's advisors at MATC. Supposed to meet with someone else, so we met with this guy, Daniel Spieth. Chandler's going to get a solar certificate. He wasn't. He's registered for fall classes. He wasn't. He's in the IT program. He wasn't. All of these things, line by line, none of them true. But Bart Halderson talked to this person. So police honed in on something. That line. When I talked to the advisor, he sounds just like Chaz on the phone. And he gives this number. That is, of course, because Bart Halderson, when he talked to Chandler's college advisor, was just talking to Chandler, who had bought a burner phone, cheap phone from like Walgreens that you can buy with no service carrier.
How did he buy it with no money?
Police know that because they searched Chandler's bedroom. And in his desk drawer, they found that phone. Now, this kept going. The lie about going to MATC or Madison College was the most extensive. There were emails, dozens, if not hundreds of emails going back and forth between supposed advisors at MATC and Chandler, and then he'd forward them to his dad from people like someone named Alyssa Brandt, 64. Sometimes Chandler would spell Brandt, B-R-A-N-D-T, sometimes just with a T and no D, depended on the day. But they all had the @Gmail address, not @madisoncollege.edu. And you'll hear from the people at Madison College. Their people have real emails. They don't use Gmail. But it was over and over again. Alyssa Brandt was one of them. You heard about Daniel Spieth, also @Gmail. There was someone named Aaron Hoover, also @Gmail. In this one, Chandler's getting upset. I have to have a call with whomever's in charge within the next 30 minutes. I have been a student for over 3 years, and I will be treated fairly. Of course, he's yelling at himself. All of these were fake.
Yeah, his tail is
to
going
himself,
nuts.
and eventually to his dad. The Halderson parents had to have been growing extraordinarily frustrated. Kid wasn't getting paid. He was injured suddenly. His college
Can you get a
transcripts
picture,
aren't coming
Silgnath?
through, so he can't get a job. So police looked at that original note again. They saw something interesting, which is in this sea of fake people, Daniel Spieth, Aaron Hoover, Tom Selznick, Alyssa Brandt, there was one name that stood out, Omar Job. And that name didn't stand out because it was fake. It stood out to the police because it was real. That is the only real person on any of these emails. And what we've discovered in this investigation is in just the day and a half prior to being murdered, Bart Halderson, Chandler's dad,
Began to unravel his
MATC
fucking
and
lies.
pretended to be Chandler to try to finally get some information on what's going on. Just as any of you could call any doctor and pretend to be your kid, you know their name, their social security number, their birthday, you can get through. You can get through those minor security things. Bart called MATC, said, I'm Chandler, and I want some
He did
answers.
not say he was Chandler. I
And for
feel like I
17
remember
minutes,
this.
Bart Halderson
I feel
just
like I
before his
remember
murder,
this, and
talked to a man named Omar Job.
this Omar guy
Omar Job
believed
is a
that he was Chandler, and the
entry-level
dad let him
customer
believe it, but
service
never
guy
said.
at MATC. He's got no skin in the game, doesn't even really remember the call, but it was recorded for customer service purposes. And Bart Halderson questions Omar, and he's very mean at first, because in his mind, he'd been getting screwed around for a year on where his son's transcripts were and what degree program he was in and why he hasn't graduated yet. But toward the end of the call, Bart asks Omar Job, hey, do any of these people work there? Alyssa Brandt, Daniel Spieth, Aaron Hoover. And he's told no, they've never worked there. And in fact, they haven't.
In fact,
And he says,
take a shot,
That'll be it.
everybody.
That'll be it then, are the last recorded words of Bart Halderson alive. Bart Halderson, shortly after that, sends a text message. Text message.
Did I just fuck that up? I was
sealed his
supposed to
fate,
knit that,
which
not
was a
purl
text to
it.
his own son. And it says, I spoke with Omar Job. Now, what happens over the next 24 or so hours is a bit unknown. Homicide investigations are a lot of unknowns because the two people who are the victims, who maybe know the most about what happened, are of course dead. But there's not much verifiable information that happens over the next 24 hours. It's also unknown if Chandler even knew who Omar Job was. Of course, he wasn't going to MATC, so why would he know who some lowly entry-level customer service guy was?
That's what we needed.
He wouldn't.
Yeah.
But Bart Halderson did.
Now we knit one,
And when you look at Bart
and
Halderson's
then knit
work
one, purl one,
calendar
knit one, purl one.
that he maintains at his accounting firm, you see something quite interesting. Remember at the beginning I said I wanted you to remember a date, a time, which was that the Haldersons were killed between 3 and 5 p.m. on July 1st, 2021. Guess
That's
what
my
was on
little
Bart's
sister's
calendar
birthday.
at that exact time? He was supposed to have a meeting with the people at MATC with his son. So he's supposed to go to MATC and have this meeting. at 3
Silgnav,
o'clock.
it's discord.gg/fartslide.
2021. Of course, that meeting couldn't happen because he wasn't going there, and none of the people were real. But Bart Halderson knew that. Bart Halderson knew that. And so Chandler had obviously figured that out at this point. There was no way out of this one. You can't get out of this lie. And so the next day, Chandler Halderson wakes up on July 1st and starts messaging his girlfriend. 7:26, I hardly slept. 7:27, stuff hasn't been going well for me lately. Just trying to plan for the next thing to fuck me over. 7:51, I had a great future planned. It's falling apart. 1:04, just 2 hours prior to the murders. I overheard they might go to the cabin with their friends, but I don't know. So somewhat of a full circle at this point, that's the moment Chandler Halderson decides to kill his parents and engage in this bizarre story of them missing at a cabin with an unknown couple in an unknown car.
Everyone
At
keeps
1:04,
finding out I'm a liar.
Now, shortly after this message,
Thank you, J-Rod.
it's about an hour and 10 minutes, Bart Halderson's getting ready to go to MATC for this meeting. Perhaps to confront Chandler. Perhaps Chandler's going to confront him. Bart texts Chandler, I'm ready whenever you are. That's about 50 minutes prior to when he was killed. Those are the last words ever recorded of Bart Halderson. His phone is never used, really. Again, he dies at some point. He never goes back to work. No one ever sees him. The neighborhood he lives in, riddled with security cameras, never see him again. I'm ready whenever you are. What the evidence will show in this case is that sometime after the I'm ready whenever you are message, probably just around 3 o'clock when he was supposed to go to this meeting with MATC, Bart Halderson was shot in the back multiple times with a high-powered rifle. And after shooting his dad, Chandler texts his mom, Dad's phone died. Text or call me. And get sewed on your way home. I have an extra hour of work. You know he didn't have an extra hour of work, but he was delaying her getting there because the evidence will show he needed to move things around, prepare for what he was about to do when she showed up.
That's
She
so
responds,
sinister.
"Okay, I can," smiley face. Those are the last words of Krista Halderson alive. Shortly thereafter, around just after 5, neighborhood security cameras, the Haldersons didn't have one, but the neighborhood, a lot of people did, show Krista pulling in, getting out of the car, walking in. She's never seen again until her legs are found out by the Wisconsin River.
This is really devastating.
But just after killing
That
his
poor
mom,
woman.
his dad, the evidence in this case will show that Chandler went on his phone. If you go on your phone, I don't know if any of you ever taken a note. You can take notes on your phone. iPhone has an app called Notes. We got some raw data, and I've I'll put it up here in a second. I won't put the raw data because it's a bit challenging to see. But Chandler creates a note about 5:11 that day on July 1st. Probably
Huge
minutes
agree,
after killing his
J-Rod.
parents. And the note reads, weekend chores, H2O2 lemon. H2O2 is the chemical name for hydrogen peroxide. You'll hear from people in this case, it's essentially a household cleaner to clean up blood. Lemon deodorizes things. Mixed together, it's a pretty cheap cleaning product you can have at home. So Chandler writes a note after murdering his parents, H2O2 lemon. Door handles. Move your shit upstairs, get a job, and clean the floor. He then does
What's door
just that.
handles? I want to know what
Spends
that
the
means.
afternoon cleaning the house, eventually jumps in the shower. We know he's in the shower because his girlfriend and him FaceTime when they're in the shower. No judgment, but that's what happened, and the girlfriend took a screenshot. We know he's in the shower. They say they're good nights, and Chandler says, I'm going to bed. But he doesn't. He goes to gas stations. He's carrying out large bags of ice. Because what Chandler had done that night
He's a
is
nail
what you all
polisher.
probably suspect by now. He had dismembered his parents, or at least started the process, and had to fit them inside of freezers that were in the Halderson home.
Okay, I did it, but I have to be there for 10 minutes. You totally do. I'm sorry. That
There's still some
protects us
evidence
against bots. I completely
That night-
forgot about that. I'm so sorry.
I'm not going to show many photographs for a little bit, just because I think you deserve to kind of be eased into some of the things you're going to see. That night, what appears to have happened, what the evidence will show, is Mr. Halderson took items from around the house and began cutting apart his parents. Saw blades covered in Bart and Krista's blood. An axe, Bart and Krista's blood. Hand saws, things of that sort, covered in Bart and Krista's blood. He cleaned the house as best he could, and you'll hear about that. But still, blood spatter found of Bart and Krista's blood around the house. And he had a plan. It wasn't a well-thought-out plan, but he had one. And that was he was going to burn the remains in the family fireplace there in the house.
You're
So
such
it's
an
July 1st,
idiot if you
and if
think
any
that
of you
you
remember
can
4th of July weekend,
burn
pretty
a
hot this
whole
year.
fucking person in a fireplace.
People in the neighborhood thought it was a little bit weird that so much fireplace was going on. They smelled stuff. One person, this neighborhood's full of retired cops, but one retired cop said, I smelled like a barbecue, smelled like a pig roast. And he said that just not knowing what it was at the time, talking to the police. And that night, a neighbor who had a security camera behind the Halderson home, way far away, was able to catch something. Because it was pitch black at night, it was able to catch just a little glimpse of all the windows in the Halderson house. We have an expert that's going to come in who works with video and light analysis. And he's going to tell you, he was able to figure out which window that was. And the window it was that he was looking at in that camera footage that kind of just piqued his attention was the window by the fireplace. And for many hours over the course of that night, the light flickered, came on, died down, on, down. But in the early morning hours the next day, he'd been up all night doing this. Because you'll learn, you really can't burn human remains. Your home fireplace is not going to get hot enough to do that.
Definitely
It takes an
not.
extraordinary amount of heat. If you go to like a crematorium, you're inducing it with oxygen, chemicals, not a residential fireplace. But eventually, in the middle of the night, the fire started going well. It appeared that air was being pumped into it, and you'll see when they searched the Halderson home, there was in fact a fan found right next to the fireplace, next to a tape measure, trying to make sure the remains were the right size as they went in the fireplace. But that light at one point
I messed
grew
up here
and
a
grew
little
and
bit,
grew, and it got
which
very bright in
means
one room. And then all
We
of a
have to
sudden, the
undo it
kitchen
and
light
start
came
over.
on, and then all the lights went out.
It's all a part of learning. This isn't sad at all.
I don't know if anyone's ever taken a hot Pyrex
I'm
pan
super not
out of
upset.
the stove and put water in it, or dumped water on your hot water on your windshield on your car in the winter. But it explodes the glass. The evidence in this case will show that what happened was the fire had gotten out of control, burning these human remains. Human fat was rendering out.
The jute stitch.
It was igniting.
Silgnav.
So Chandler threw water on it. But when you throw water on your residential
It's very
fireplace,
loose and bad,
you break the glass. And that's exactly what happened.
but I'm learning, so that's okay that it's very
Just above
loose
that
and
broken
bad.
glass panel, which is clearly shattered, you see the paint kind of bubbled off from the heat. This is in the search of the home some week later. Fireplace is clearly used. The police noticed something interesting about this photograph, which is, despite being clearly used, the logs are rebuilt. Someone had cleaned out all the ashes and rebuilt it. Clean logs, newspaper, one burnt piece in the middle. But what stuck out to police right away was that little rock right there. They thought, what is that? You'll hear from the people who collected this evidence. You'll hear from an arson specialist from the Department of Justice, a guy named Bill Boswell, who come in. You'll hear from a forensic anthropologist, a doctor named Cristina Figueroa Soto, who will tell you, we were all interested in what that was because it was out of place. So they pulled it off and they put it on one of these fancy police deals. And the forensic anthropologist took one look at it. And she said, oh, this is a human skull. He had burned his parents' heads. in that
Wow.
fireplace.
That's so fucked up to think about.
Later, the police
God,
would
that's so fucked up to think about.
go
Hi,
through the
Sugar
ash
Mama. How
trap
are
of that
you?
Fireplace, and they would find human remains, facial bones, the knee bones, which, because we found Krista's legs, by deduction, had to be Bart. All in the ash trap of that fireplace. They were all cataloged. Now, burnt remains can't be tested for DNA. There's no biological material left. But they're able to tell it's human based on the structure of the bone. And you'll hear from the anthropologist who will talk about that. So that's what happened on July 1st. Now, you're going to hear about all of those days in between Bart and Krista dying at 3 o'clock on the 1st, all
Not
the way
yet,
through the police
Sleep
report.
Ninja.
But to summarize, Chandler stayed up all night that night of the 1st.
Good to hear, Sugar Mama.
Obviously, things weren't going well, burning his parents' remains. So the next day, perhaps not having slept, he walked into Fleet Farm at 7:21 a.m. to buy a tarp. He's on video. He knew his girlfriend was spending the night that night, so he spent the whole day cleaning. But he's sending her text messages, which you'll see throughout the day, asking her to bring him hydrogen peroxide and a mop, because he still needed to clean up. The next day, Saturday, July 3rd, 2021, his girlfriend leaves early in the morning. That's the day she snaps that picture of him out by the Wisconsin River dumping off his mom's remains. Spends the rest of the day hanging out. But when he goes home and says he's going to bed that night, this young man who supposedly couldn't drive or carry heavy objects, his phone records show that he's up near the Wisconsin River in Portage, as if you're driving the interstate up to the Dells, right when you cross the Wisconsin River, off in the state land there to the right. For about an hour, in the middle of the night, the police tried to search
Who's
that
Kathy
area.
Wright?
Impossible with the currents.
Sleep Ninja.
Whatever remains were thrown in there are lost forever.
Is she like some rock star in the
July 4th, 2021.
forensics
This is the day he texts
community?
himself. Spends the day with his girlfriend's family. Goes to their farm to use the pool. That's the day he says, hey, can I come back tomorrow? Goes to some fireworks. He's living a normal life. No mention of his parents. The next day, takes out the garbage in the morning.
I'm sorry if you
Who
guys
knows
hear
what was in
Kika
that
crying.
garbage
He
can.
wants to play. That's
We've
his want
thoroughly
to
searched
play
the
cry.
landfills, but it's impossible to find anything. But he
Kika.
took out the garbage. He goes out to the farm to supposedly use the pool where he's seen walking out of the woods. Cell phone tower records prove that he was out there on the farm. Remember I told you he told that person that he was having trouble at work and school and having a bad doctor's appointment. He never went to any doctor's appointment that day. Phone records show he never talked to any doctor. It was all a ruse to be able to go out in the woods and hide his father's body. The next day, not much happens because Chandler was up all night. Again, that light analysis shows all night, the garage light on and off. The garage, of course, being where we found some of these tools, the axe covered in blood. He's cleaning up. At 4:30 in the morning, for no apparent reason, he drives around the city of Madison. There's no idea what he did there. But he's not doing much. But people begin questioning him about his parents. He just says they're late. The person most worried, perhaps, is his girlfriend. She thought that was unlike them. The next day, he drives back to the farm, throws a bag of bloody rags into their garbage can that's out by the street. And at 11:22, he texts his girlfriend that he's finally going to the police. We know that bag of rags came from his house because they were in the Target bag his girlfriend picked up from Target, and she did the curbside pickup. So her name was printed on the outside. It was when she brought him hydrogen peroxide. He filled the bag with bloody rags and left it at the house. The next day,
the shit
he starts
you burn,
Googling
you
body found, Wisconsin
idiot.
dismembered body found. He's walking door to door asking about security cameras in his neighborhood. And at 4 p.m., they take him downtown and they arrest him at 6:41. So that's the story. That's why you're here for a couple weeks.
Man, I can't wait
Like I said in the beginning,
for
a lot of
Monday
cases end
when
with the
we
murder. This one, it's just a small piece of the puzzle. None of the
listen
things
to
that
the
happen after, and none of the
defense's
things happen
opening
before make any
statement.
sense without
The
knowing
defense
the murder
gets an
happened on a
opening
specific day
statement
at a
too,
specific
right?
time.
Oh, I'm not
But the
making
evidence in
yarn.
this case you'll find is overwhelming.
I'm so sorry. Avenging
Chandler
Pineapple.
Halderson killed
I
his
don't know
parents
if I
October 1st, 2021. He cut up their bodies with axes.
I don't remember what my
saws, and
title
knives.
is. I'm just
And
learning
didn't
how to
give them the
knit.
dignity of having a
I'm so
funeral or
sorry
even
if I
final resting
misled
place in one
you.
piece or together. Their remains were scattered
I
across Dane
I
County,
have made
public
yarn,
land,
but like I don't
farms,
make yarn, if that makes sense.
garbage cans.
Like it was I was at a
rivers,
friend's place that had like a
perhaps every
yarn
ditch.
spinner.
Is a possibility in this county. You'll find the evidence. In this
Sorry,
case as well.
Avenging Pineapple.
Now, over the next couple of weeks, I'll make you a couple promises as your prosecutor in this case. I'm not here to waste your time. But of all the constitutional rights we talked about of Chandler, he has them. I want you to respect them. There's another one that you should know, which is this is the only time we get to have this trial. You get one trial.
Thank
in
you,
the United States
Silksnap.
of
I'm so
America,
sorry.
and I have to do it right. So if that means calling a lot of witnesses, I apologize in advance. If it means calling experts to say things that maybe you already know, I apologize in advance. But I'm going to do my job right as your prosecutor.
Oh my God, please.
Second, you're going to see terrible photographs. There were approximately 5,000 photographs taken in this case. You're going to see maybe total a couple hundred of actual body parts, maybe a couple dozen.
Sorry, my Twitch
We
is
have
slow.
scoured
You have
those
an answer
photographs
after I
and tried to
sent
remove
the last
ones that are
message.
just horrible to see
I-
because of the conditions the bodies were in, because of insects and maggots and things of that sort.
I
Instead, I'm
I
trying to
don't
only show
make
you
yarn.
photographs that help you understand
I would
how
love
the
to
remains
make
were
yarn.
hidden,
I would
where they were
love
hidden,
to.
how they were dismembered. To the extent possible, we're using cleaner photographs that were taken by the Dane County Medical Examiner.
Is
I
this
promise you,
blowhard on TV?
I'm not trying to pull on anyone's heartstrings. I'm not trying to make this overly emotional. You might feel emotional. I suspect many of you have never seen anything like what you're going to see. in
I'm
the next
sorry.
couple
I'm
of
having a
weeks.
really hard time
promise
understanding
to do
what
my
you're
best to
seeing and
limit,
what's going on with you, Avenging Pineapple.
And lastly, I promise to just ask questions, a lot of questions, because you're the jury in this case, and you deserve to hear absolutely everything. It will be a struggle. You'll get sick of walking back and forth to these jury rooms. You might get sick of each other. I hope not. But it's an important task. What happened here shouldn't happen, but it did. And so in a couple
No,
of
I'm
weeks, when I stand up
I'm
here
not
and this
crocheting.
room
I'm sorry.
stands up
I'm
here,
knitting with
I'm gonna
already
ask you
made
to
yarn.
deliver a verdict of guilty, to finally bring some much-needed truth to Chandler Halderson. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Brown. Counsel, Attorney Brown, could whoever's giving the opening come up? You don't have to.
Sorry,
you
is
can
it
do
better
this
now?
without going off. Just want to discuss time.
Right now I'm just practicing tension and holding the needles and work the right way and stuff
Ladies
like
and gentlemen,
that.
we're going to take our morning break at this point, and what will happen is Randy will take you back. You'll go to your respective rooms. You'll have at least 15 minutes. We'll come back and continue. Go right ahead.
All rise for the jury.
Okay, guys, I am gonna call it here. It's pretty late. I know it's a weekend and everything, but and it was kind of a short.
Thanks for
short stream here. But we will return to this. Absolutely. This has been fascinating. If you guys like it, anyway, we'll return to this. But on Monday, we will be going back to the scarf. I got these new knitting needles, and I thought that it would be good knit, everyone. That's so cute. You're cute. I thought it would be fun. Like, I was going to be spending my evening learning how to knit. I figured it would be fun to do it on stream. And look what happened. Dad Feels came in and said hi and subscribed to us. That's the sweetest of all time. And I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. That felt so good. I can't wait to tell people about that. That felt so good. And we owe Tinfoil Tom a huge thank you for that, because that was just, what a fun moment for all of us, wasn't it? If he's streaming, we're for sure raiding him. For sure. Give me just a minute to find somebody to raid. Everybody make sure that you're good and active in chat right now so that the raid is big. We want big raid for our boys. Nope, not today. But I want you guys to go follow Tinfoil Tom, because that was just so fucking cool of him. And also, I watch that content. We've never covered it, but I watch that content. And I want you to watch that content too. He's an up-and-comer. I think you'll love him. He's wild. Absolutely wild. But I stamp it. Like, it's very entertaining content. And if you like me and the stuff that we do lately, you will like him. And obviously follow Dad if you haven't already. Okay, I'm gonna run a commercial and find somebody to raid. Everybody just be super active in chat, please and thank you. And I will see you guys on Monday, okay? We didn't get raided, we got followed and then subscribed. It's just the coolest. Okay, anyway, I love you guys. Bye. See you Monday.